The Forbidden's coordinates, the Galactic Cartography Assembly, hadn't denied a mapping petition in over 3,000 years. Navigator Zara Chun stood in the vast crystalline chamber of the assembly station, watching her request projection flicker and die as the verdict came through. Around her, representatives from 97 different species murmured in their various languages. But the message was universal. Request denied. Human space would remain the only unmapped territory in the known galaxy. Zara's dark eyes narrowed as she studied the faces of the assembly members. The Cathari delegates' feathers ruffled nervously. The Vorthan representative's bioluminescent skin pulsed with what she recognized as anxiety. Even the typically emotionless Machina Collective's android avatar seemed to shift uncomfortably in its seat. These beings weren't just following protocol. They were afraid. She had been appointed as humanity's chief stellar navigator 5 years ago, tasked with finally integrating human space into the universal star chart. Humans had been part of the galactic community for nearly 2 centuries, contributing technology, culture, and trade to the vast interstellar civilization. Yet their territory remained a blank void on every official map, marked only with the cryptic designation, Navigation Prohibited, Council Statute 001. The assembly dismissed without explanation, leaving Zara alone in the chamber with her thoughts. She pulled up her personal holodisplay, examining the data she'd collected over months of research. Human space wasn't just unmapped, it was actively avoided. Trade routes curved around it in impossible arcs. Military patrols turned back at invisible borders. Even automated survey drones, programmed to map every celestial body in their path, would mysteriously malfunction when approaching human territory. A soft chime drew her attention. Someone had sent her a private message through a heavily encrypted channel. The sender's identity was masked, but the message was simple. Level 7 Archive, midnight. Come alone if you want answers about the dead zones. The dead zones. Zara had first heard that term, whispered in the markets of Babel Station, where traders from across the galaxy gathered to exchange goods and gossip. Regions of space surrounding human colonies where sensors returned nothing but static, where time seemed to flow differently, where ships that entered were sometimes found decades later, their crews aged mere days, but their memories fragmented. And strange, she made her way through the station's winding corridors toward the archive levels. The assembly station was ancient, built by a long-dead civilization and repurposed as neutral ground for galactic governance. Its archives contained knowledge from thousands of worlds, millions of years of history stored in quantum crystalline matrices. Level 7 was restricted, accessible only to senior assembly members and their designated researchers. The turbolift descended past the public levels, past the secured government floors, deep into the station's core. When the doors opened, Zara found herself in a dimly lit corridor that seemed to stretch forever in both directions. Waiting for her was a figure she recognized, but had never expected to meet here. Keeper Yeroth, the Anzari historian whose people were known as the memory keepers of the galaxy. Yeroth's elongated form towered over Zara, their 6 eyes arranged in perfect symmetry on a face that seemed carved from living stone. The Anzari were among the oldest spacefaring species, their civilization stretching back nearly 1 million years. When they spoke, their voice resonated with harmonics that made Zara's bones vibrate. Navigator Chun, Yeroth said, gesturing with a graceful, 4-fingered hand toward a secured archive room. You seek answers about human space. I am here to tell you why those answers have been hidden. Inside the archive room, Yeroth activated a containment field that would prevent any surveillance, then pulled up a holographic display unlike anything in the public databases. It showed human space not as a blank void, but as a swirling mass of red warning markers, each one tagged with dates, ship registrations, and a single repeated word, lost. 17 civilizations have attempted to map human space since your species achieved interstellar flight. Uroth explained, their multiple eyes focusing on different parts of the display. The Cathari sent their most advanced survey fleet in 2387. 42 ships, 3,000 crew members. They were found drifting near Proxima Centauri 7 years later. The crews were alive but changed. They spoke of seeing impossible things. Cities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Planets where the same day repeated endlessly. Stars that sang in languages that drove listeners mad. Zara studied the data, her scientific mind racing. Mass hallucinations? Some kind of defensive technology? We thought the same, Uroth admitted. The Vorthan Scientific Collective sent a fleet equipped with the most advanced sensors and shields available. They returned after 3 months with their data cores completely scrambled. The only coherent information they recovered was a set of coordinates and 2 words: the silence. The historian manipulated the display, showing a region of space near the edge of human territory. This is where they found it. A warning beacon older than any known civilization, predating even the architects who built this station. It wasn't broadcasting in any electromagnetic spectrum. It was carved into the fabric of space-time itself. The message appeared in the hologram, translated into galactic standard, but somehow still carrying an otherworldly weight. Here begins the silence. Those who map the void invite the attention of that which should not see. The watchers in the Ya. Dark spaces between thoughts. Turn back. Forget. Survive. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Who placed it there? We don't know, Uroth replied. But we found similar beacons at 17 different points around human space. All ancient. All warning of the same thing. And there's more. The display shifted to show temporal readings from the borders of human territory. Time itself behaves differently near your colonies. We've detected chronometer discrepancies, causality loops, and regions where effect precedes cause. It's as if reality becomes negotiable in human space. The implications were staggering. Zara had always wondered why humanity seemed to adapt so quickly to technologies that took other species millennia to master. Why human colonies thrived in environments that should have been hostile. Why their ships sometimes arrived at destinations before they should have been physically able to. You're saying human space is some kind of anomaly? Uroth's stone-like face somehow conveyed deep concern. Not an anomaly, Navigator Chun. A scar. Something happened in your region of space long before humans evolved. Something that wounded reality itself. And somehow, your species doesn't just survive there. You thrive. The question that terrifies the assembly is, what does that make you? A sudden alarm pierced the archive's silence. The containment field flickered and died. Security forces were coming. Uroth quickly transferred a data packet to Zara's personal device before the doors burst open. Assembly security officers flooded in, weapons drawn. Behind them stood Counselor Hexus of the Machina Collective, their android form crackling with barely contained energy. Keeper Uroth, you have violated the statute of silence. Navigator Chun, you will surrender all data you have received and submit to memory adjustment. Zara's hand moved to the small quantum drive hidden in her suits. Color. The data Uroth had given her contained coordinates, not to human space, but to something else. A location where she might find real answers. She looked at the Anzari historian, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. I'm sorry, Counselor, Zara said, activating her emergency transport beacon. But humanity has a right to know why the galaxy fears us. As the transport beam enveloped her, she heard Hexus's mechanical voice rising in alarm. Stop her. If she enters the Forbidden's coordinates, she destabilize everything? The last thing Zara saw before the transport completed was Uroth's 6 eyes. each one reflecting a different version of her, as if seeing all possible futures simultaneously. And in every version, she was making the same choice. She was going into the unmapped dark to find the truth about what made human space so terrifying that an entire galaxy would rather leave it blank than risk discovering what lay within. Asterisk. The Temporal Guardians. The stolen shuttle dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates Urith had provided, and Zara Chun immediately knew something was wrong with reality itself. Her instruments showed 3 different positions simultaneously. The chronometer displayed past, present, and future readings overlapping in impossible ways. Through the viewport, she saw not one, but dozens of versions of her shuttle, all arriving at the same point from different angles, all piloted by different versions of herself. She was at the edge of human space, in a region marked on no chart, where the warnings of 17 ancient civilizations converged. Here, the fabric of space-time wasn't just warped, it was shattered, held together by something that defied every law of physics she knew. A massive structure materialized before her, or perhaps it had always been there, existing in a state of temporal flux. It appeared to be a station of sorts, but its architecture hurt to perceive directly. Corridors that led backwards through time. Rooms that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. A docking bay that was somehow both ancient and newly constructed. Her communication system crackled to life, and a voice spoke not through the speakers, but directly into her mind, in every language she knew and several she didn't. Navigator. Zara Chun. You exist. You have existed. You will exist. Enter and understand, or turn back and forget. The choice has already been made. Against every instinct screaming at her to flee, Zara guided her shuttle into the impossible docking bay. The moment she crossed the threshold, her perception fragmented. She was simultaneously docking, having already docked, and preparing to dock. Time became a suggestion rather than a rule. Standing in the docking bay was a figure that defied description. It was humanoid in the sense that it had a form her mind could process, but it existed in multiple states simultaneously. Young and old, solid and ethereal, human and utterly alien. When it spoke, its words arrived before its mouth moved. I am Chronarch Valders, the being said, though Zara somehow knew this was merely a label her mind could grasp. We are the guardians of the temporal nexus you call human space. We have waited for one of your kind to find us. We have always been waiting. The waiting is eternal and has already ended. Zara's scientific training helped her maintain some semblance of sanity in the face of such impossibility. You're beings that exist outside normal temporal flow. We exist because of humanity, Valders replied, leading her through corridors that changed configuration with each step. Your species is an anomaly that should not be possible. You will understand. You are understanding. You have understood. They entered a chamber that Zara's mind interpreted as a vast observatory, though she suspected her perception was merely an approximation of something far more complex. Through viewing portals that showed different time periods simultaneously, she saw human space as it truly was not a region of planets and stars, but a writhing mass of temporal possibilities, infinite timelines branching and reconverging around every human consciousness. Observe, Valders commanded, and the view focused on Earth, humanity's birthworld. Zara gasped. Earth wasn't a single planet. It was thousands, millions, an infinite cascade of Earths existing in parallel, each one slightly different, all bound together by the collective unconscious of humanity. Every human dream, every imagined possibility, every fleeting thought created ripples in space-time that manifested as real, physical alternatives. Your species possesses something unique, Valders explained. You call it imagination, creativity, dreams, but it is more. Human consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it shapes it. Every human mind is a quantum observer capable of collapsing infinite possibilities into concrete existence. Individually, the effect is negligible, but collectively, 8 billion humans dreaming, believing, imagining you reshape the universe around you. The implications staggered Zara. That's why our space can't be mapped. It's constantly changing based on our collective thoughts. More than changing, existing in all states simultaneously until observed. Ships that enter human space without human consciousness to anchor them become lost in the infinite possibilities. They experience all timelines at once. Some arrive before they left. Others age centuries in moments. Most go mad from perceiving multiple realities simultaneously. Valdris gestured to another viewing portal, showing the ancient warning beacons. These were placed by the predecessors, the first civilization to discover what would become human space. They found the temporal nexus and tried to study it. Their entire species was absorbed into the possibility matrix, existing everywhere and nowhere, everyone and never. They managed to create the warnings before they ceased to exist linearly. But we evolved there, Zara protested. Humans developed inside this temporal anomaly. Not inside, Valdis corrected. Because of. The temporal nexus didn't exist until human consciousness emerged. Your species' evolution created it retroactively. Effect preceding cause. The moment humans developed the capacity to dream of different realities, those realities began to exist. The past was rewritten to accommodate the present. History became fluid, shaped by collective belief. The Chronarch showed her images of human colonies thriving on worlds that should have been barren. You terraform planets not through technology, but through collective conviction. When enough humans believe a world can support life, reality adjusts to match that belief. Your ships arrive early because human crews expect them to. Your technology advances rapidly because you imagine it working before understanding why. Zara's mind reeled. The galaxy fears us because we're reality warpers. The galaxy fears you because your influence is spreading, Valdis revealed. Every species that interacts with humanity begins to experience temporal fluctuations. Alien minds, exposed to human creativity, start to develop similar abilities. If human space were fully mapped and integrated with galactic civilization, the effect would cascade. Reality itself would become democratized, subject to the whims of every conscious being. That's why they keep us isolated, Zara understood. We're a cognitive contagion that could unravel the stable universe they've built. Valdris nodded, its multiple temporal states flickering. The Chronarchs exist to maintain the quarantine. We are humans who learn to perceive and navigate the possibility matrix without losing our sanity. We guide the timeline to prevent the worst outcomes while preserving human potential. But now you must choose. The chamber shifted, and Zara found herself looking at 3 doorways, each leading to a different future. The first door returns you to the galaxy with your memories erased. Humanity remains isolated but safe, developing slowly within the quarantine. The second door gives you the knowledge to properly map human space, creating safe corridors for other species to traverse without temporal contamination. Humanity integrates slowly with the galaxy over millennia. And the third? Zara asked, though part of her already knew. The third door reveals everything to humanity. Your species learns what it truly is, a collective God-mind capable of reshaping. Reality through consensus. The quarantine ends. The galaxy must adapt or perish. Reality becomes fluid. The possible becomes probable, becomes actual at the speed of thought. Zara stood before the 3 doors, the weight of humanity's future pressing upon her. She thought of Earth, of the colonies, of the dreams of billions who had no idea they were unconsciously sculptors of space-time itself. She thought of the galaxy. Beyond, ordered and stable, but perhaps stagnant, fearing change, fearing the chaos of unlimited possibility. "What did you choose?" she asked Valdris, knowing the Chronarch must have faced the same decision. "I chose all three," Valdris replied. "I am choosing all three. I will choose all three." In different timelines, different versions of me made different choices. All of them led here, to this moment, to you. Zara understood then. The choice had already been made, was being made, would be made. In some timelines, she would choose safety. In others, integration. In still others, revolution. All possibilities existed simultaneously until she collapsed them into a single reality through the act of choosing. She stepped toward the second, door integration, but paused. Through her connection to the possibility matrix, she could feel the dreams of humanity calling out, yearning for something more than isolation, more than fear, more than being the monsters in the dark that the galaxy refused to map. "There's a fourth option," she said, surprising even Valdris. "We don't hide what we are, but we don't force it on the galaxy either. We teach them, slowly. We show them that reality doesn't have to be fixed, that possibility isn't something to fear. We become guides, not conquerors. We help them evolve as we have." The chamber shifted again, and a fourth door appeared, one that hadn't existed until she imagined it. The door of symbiosis, of gradual awakening, of a galaxy that chose to dream rather than being forced to. Valdris smiled, or performed an action that Zara's mind interpreted as smiling. "That possibility now exists because you believed it could. This is what it means to be human, to create options that weren't there before, to make the impossible possible through sheer force of will and imagination." Zara walked through the fourth door, feeling the timeline shift around her, reality reorganizing itself to accommodate this new path. She would return to the galaxy with partial truth, enough to begin the slow process of integration without triggering panic or forced evolution. Humanity would remain partially mapped, a mystery at the edge of known space, but no longer completely forbidden. As she emerged back in her shuttle, now docked at Babel Station as if she had never left, Zara carried with her the knowledge of what humanity truly was. Not conquerors or monsters, but dreamers whose dreams had grown so powerful they reshaped reality itself. The galaxy refused to map human space, not because it was dangerous, but because it was infinite, a realm where every star chart would be obsolete the moment it was created, where every coordinate existed in multiple states until, observed with a very act of exploration, created new territories to explore. The truth was both terrifying and beautiful. Human space couldn't be mapped because it was still being imagined into existence, one dream at a time, one possibility at a moment, forever expanding into futures that didn't exist until humanity decided they should. And now, with Zara's choice rippling backward and forward through time, the galaxy would slowly learn to dream as well. Asterisk.